What's going on, YouTube? JG's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of... Actually, you know what? This is the first. This is the first time we're ever getting a Mothra comic book. I believe this is the first ever U.S. Mothra comic, known as Mothra, Queen of the Monsters, issue number 1. So this will be thrown into my Godzilla playlist, because there is technically a Godzilla reference within this issue. Mothra, obviously, is one of the crown jewels of the Toho lineup. One of the big five. You have Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Mechagodzilla, and then I think, what am I missing? Somebody else in there. So yeah, the big four. You know, Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla. So that's kind of the big five of like the Toho lineup, and Mothra obviously is a big one there too. But she's finally getting her due justice within the pages of this comic book, and it's really cool to see. Like, I am thankful that we are getting a Mothra storyline. So I'm sure Godzilla will probably cameo down the line. There is a brief reference to him, but I really want this to be mostly like Mothra storyline. I don't mind him being a supporting character, showing up at some point within this thing is a kind of a cool, like, surprise little moment. But let's let Mothra kind of have the spotlight right here and see how she's kind of showcased within this thing. So this one is story by Sophie Campbell, artwork by Sophie and Matt Frank. Matt Frank, I'm a big fan of his artwork. I mean, you look at Godzilla Rulers of Earth and drawing the covers for several other things, and Matt's just a really talented, like, kaiju artist. I actually did get the chance to meet him at G-Fest this past year. Was it in July? Yeah. He was like dressed up as Emperor Antonio, showcasing the artwork stuff. So I had to talk really bit. Really admired the artwork that he did. A lot of cool stuff right there too. Nathan Wittick did the letters, and edited by Jake Williams. So the storyline this time, it's Mothra versus a new monster known as Antra. No, not Batra, like Antra. So like this is a very insect-heavy kaiju-themed battle. So it's kind of focused on these two sisters who are twins. Definitely have ties to the Shobijin, which they just call Mothra's priestesses in this thing. They didn't specifically say Shobijin. There's a lot of Rebirth of Mothra influence within this thing, even going so far as to have some sort of time travel elements within the pages of this comic book. But these two sisters, one of them thought her whole family was killed, blames Mothra for it because Mothra is supposed to be the queen of the monsters, and Mothra had failed at the hands of Antra, and so she's kind of developed this grudge towards her. It's been 15 years later. Her sister just kind of happens to show up. Turns out she's been kind of holding on to Mothra's priestesses, who were in a weakened state as a result of Mothra's death, but they've been kind of training her in the ways of, you know, I guess the ways of the Force, but no, the Mothra's singing qualities, which will allow them to kind of travel back in time to retrieve a Mothra egg, because during... You know, Mothra always kind of usually just kind of leaves an egg to hatch before she kind of passes on, so that way her life cycle can continue. But because of what happened with Antra, she never got the chance to. So Mothra's there, and they have to decide, okay, let's go ahead and go back in time. They also are attacked by, looks like a Mega Nulon, like from, you know, Rodan and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, like one of those earlier phases of it that tries to attack them. So it's always kind of cool to get like some other insect type cameos within this thing. There also is one Godzilla reference I did notice in this, and that's kind of on the shelf right here. Like, you have Mothra right there. You can see Godzilla in the bottom left corner of the screen. And then you have, I guess that's Antra, but it also kind of looks a little bit like what is it, Silky from like the Teen Titans, like animated series, you know, Starfire's pet, like insect thing or whatever she had at one point. I think I'm got the name right, but it kind of reminds me of that, just the way it kind of looks a little bit. So we got that going on there. Eventually they do kind of use the mystic arts of Mothra to kind of travel back in time to try and retrieve Mothra's egg. So they end up the prehistoric planet. You can see the different like dinosaurs. It looks like a young Anguirus, looks like some Titanosaurus, and all sorts of like other things too. So she also wants to kind of find the egg, restore Mothra, but also utilize the time travel abilities to kind of save the family and kind of reconcile for years lost and all that too. Then kind of at the end of the issue, we had the Mothra priestesses, and we have what looks like Antra's kind of priestesses. They had set some sort of plan in motion, so it seems like Antra kind of went a little bit too far, and the world's in kind of a bad state and kind of out of balance, which, again, this kind of reminds me of Rebirth of Mothra. You had the Mothra twins, and then they had, what was it, Elvira or whatever her name was? I'm drawing a blank. It's been, well, actually, I did watch them, like, last year before, like, the release of GXK. I watched the Mothra movies, too. But I always draw a blank on the third sister's name or whatever. So it seems that we have some kind of like other things for like the equivalent for Mothra. We have it for Antra and all that too. But it's going to be them going back in time. And look at how freaking adorable that Mothra larva is. Just the absolute most precious thing you can see. Like, look at how cute it is. I'm just, I'm amazed there. So artwork is pretty solid with this thing. Again, this is a quick intro issue. We did jump the 15-year time jump, so we haven't really had a chance to kind of breathe and really kind of capture that reconnection. But I think given that we have plenty of issues left, we can kind of like really deal with the fall to somebody who's lost their family, or at least they thought they lost them for 15 years. Just kind of dealing with kind of the reunion and that too. So there's a lot you can kind of do with it. Also, it was interesting how the one sister spent all this years kind of training with the Mothra priestesses, but then the other one just kind of picks up on it, like the singing abilities, like rather quickly. Like, did you really need the 15 years or however many years it's been since you've been training? I don't know. That's just kind of a little like nitpick to me. But again, it's only issue 1. This is the whole brand new series, its own little continuity. I'm not sure if it connects to anything else really. So we're gonna have to wait and see kind of how it unfolds. Like, there's a lot you got to pack within a couple pages. So I'm always willing to like, okay, let's see where we go from here. So I like the artwork. The traveling back in time thing definitely made me think of the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy when they had to go back in time to stop like the version of Ghidorah and all that too, and the dinosaurs and like just some crazy stuff. So there's definitely a lot of love for that series. You can kind of feel that with the creative team involved, and a pretty decent first issue in this thing. I don't think it's like the strongest first issue of any of these like IDW books, but definitely not the weakest. And again, it's a Mothra thing. Would I like to see Godzilla appear in this thing at some point? Yes, but this needs to be Mothra's storyline first and foremost. I wouldn't mind Godzilla being a supporting character showing up at some point down the line, or we could either have it to where like it's just Mothra's thing. But Mothra's been a supporting character in a lot of Godzilla stuff over the years, always kind of coming in last minute. I wouldn't mind a Godzilla appearance kind of like last minute within this thing to kind of help her out for once. I think that would kind of be a cool little moment there. So I'm still holding on to hope. And again, this is a Mothra storyline, so I don't necessarily expect Godzilla to kind of be in this thing, and that's totally fine if he doesn't show up, because again, this is Mothra's storyline. But I still kind of like something at some point. But it's still early on. I don't know how many issues this storyline is going to be, but I am thankful that we do have a Mothra comic book out right now, and I think that's really cool. I think it's pretty awesome. So yeah, cool stuff there. What did you think of it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all the other fun stuff. And I got one more comic book review I'm going to try and post today before new comic books come out. Sorry I'm a little late with this video. I just kind of got sidetracked with a lot of things last week, but I'm trying to play catch up and I'm feeling pretty good now. So thank you all so much for watching this video. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.